You ever meet someone who just got it? Smart, clean-cut, charming as hell. The kind of guy who holds the door, remembers your name, makes you smile. Yeah, that guy. Until girls started disappearing, and the trail always went cold. Let's go back in time a bit. This guy was just a kid. Good grades, always smiled. Everyone said, "What a sweet boy." He played in the yard, rode his bike, helped the neighbors carry groceries. His mom worked hard to give him a real chance at life. They had family dinners, celebrated holidays, went to church every Sunday. It all looked so normal, until it wasn't. Because in that quiet house, something was off. He believed the woman who raised him was his sister. She made his lunch, helped with homework, always looked out for him. But the truth? That sister was actually his mother. His grandparents made her hide it, told everyone he was their son, forced her to live a lie. One day, he found out. Everything. Fake. But he didn't break down. He learned how to lie, how to hide behind a smile, how to bury everything dark, deep inside. And that smile, it never left. Ted Bundy was that guy. Shiny shoes, killer smile, A+ charm, studied psychology in college, learned how fear works, how to earn trust, how to spot weakness and weaponize it. He actually worked at a suicide hotline by day. Yes, a suicide hotline. Took notes on manipulation by night. People saw a future senator, but he wasn't studying to help anyone. He was building a blueprint for something darker. Then, law school, another suit, another mask. He said all the right things, gave speeches, kissed babies, made judges nod. But inside, he wasn't learning how to defend the law. He was figuring out how to break it and walk away smiling. He didn't just blend in, he made the world clap for him, while girls kept disappearing. Let's go to the night it all began. January 4th, 1974, Seattle. She was asleep. Karen Sparks, a 21-year-old UW student, athletic, bright, studying to become a nurse. She lived in the University District, a quiet basement apartment she thought was safe. Until that night. No broken window, no kicked-in door, just darkness. He crept in, with a metal rod from her own bed frame. She never saw him, never stood a chance. She was beaten brutally. Her skull fractured, left unconscious and bleeding. But somehow, she survived. But unfortunately, her memory? Gone. Her life? Never the same. She was the first, but no one knew it yet. No suspect, no witnesses, no leads. Just a battered woman in a hospital bed. And a man walking free in the night. And just weeks later, he attacks again. Linda Ann Healy. Point 2. Smart. Confident. She did the morning weather on the college radio. Woke the campus up every day with a smile in her voice. That Friday night, she went out with friends, laughed, danced, came home safe. Or so it seemed. The next morning, she didn't show up for her radio shift. Her roommates checked her room. Bed, made, outfit for the day, laid out, bike still there, purse untouched, but the pillow, stained with blood. A bloodied nightgown hidden in the laundry hamper. And Linda, gone. No struggle, no scream, just missing. They think he broke in quietly, hit her fast, maybe with the same kind of weapon. Dragged her out through the basement door while her roommate slept above. Later, they'd find part of her skull at Taylor Mountain. The woods were starting to whisper names. Within less than a month, another girl was attacked. Donna Gail Manson, 19 years old, free-spirited, studied music, loved poetry. She left her dorm that night to go to a jazz concert on campus. It was just a short walk. She didn't bring her purse, no ID, no coat, just her. But she never made it. No one saw her again. No witnesses, no struggle, like she disappeared into the air. Until years later, Ted confessed. He'd spotted her walking alone, followed her, said he used his usual charm, probably asked for help, then led her into the woods and did what he always did. But by then, the body was long gone. He burned parts of her remains in his girlfriend's fireplace. She had no idea. And Donna? She became the third to vanish, but not the last. Because just 1 month later, another girl would go missing. And this time, someone actually saw him. April 17, 1974, Central Washington State College, Susan Rancourt. 18, biology major, responsible, quiet. She had a meeting with her dorm advisor that evening, planned to stop by the laundromat afterward. She never came back. And again, no struggle, no screams. Her laundry was never picked up, just gone. But this time, there were whispers. Multiple girls on campus said a man approached them that night. Handsome, dark hair, arm in a sling. He needed help carrying books to his car. One girl said he gave her the creeps. Another actually walked with him until she saw the car was parked in a dark corner lot. She made an excuse and walked away. Susan wasn't so lucky. Bundy's move was simple, but brutal. Lure her close to the car, open the passenger side. Then, a blow to the head, fast and quiet, push her in and quickly drive off. She'd never be seen alive again, and by the time the college realized something was wrong, Susan was already gone. But now, the pattern was starting to show. Smart girls, college campuses, always alone. Always a guy with an injury. Always charming. And back in Seattle, more reports were piling up. The pieces weren't connecting yet, but the picture was forming. And the next victim? She was even closer to home. May 6, 1974, Oregon State University, Corvallis Roberta Kathleen Parks. 21, soft-spoken, a psychology major. She had dinner at the dorm with friends that night, then told them she was going for a walk to clear her head. She never came back. No witnesses, no sounds, just silence. Her friends waited. The RA checked in. Then the calls to her parents started. Gone. Just like that. Police were now looking at a string of women, college-aged, brown hair, parted in the middle, last seen alone. What no one saw was the man who watched her. He always had a plan, a quick blow to the head. Disoriented, she was dragged to the car, the quiet parking lot, the dark edges of campus, perfect cover. She was taken across state lines. He later confessed where he left her. Bundy didn't just disappear them, he erased them. But the public still didn't know. The term serial killer hadn't even entered headlines yet. People thought they were isolated cases, missing girls, unrelated. But soon, he would take two in broad daylight, in front of hundreds of people at a park full of families. The monster was about to go public. For the first time, the public had a name. And the monster had a face, calm, charming, and deadly. And by the time police started to connect the dots, 6 women were already gone. By fall, Washington wasn't just watching the news, they were living in it. Missing posters were stapled to every pole. Smiling faces from yearbooks, now faded and fluttering in the wind. Girls stopped walking alone. Keys became weapons. Doors stayed locked, even in broad daylight. Stores ran out of pepper spray. Until one girl said, "No." She was at Lake Sammamish. Midsummer, packed beach, loud crowds. It felt safe. Then he approached, arm in a fake cast, car keys fumbling in hand. "Can you help me load my sailboat?" he asked, flashing that same charming smile. She felt something off. Her gut clenched, and she stepped back. "No," she told him. But she didn't just walk away. She watched. She saw him try again with another girl, same act. This time, it worked. She left with him and never came back. Just a few hours later, Denise Naslund, 19, vanished too. She left her group to use the restroom. Just minutes. Gone. Vanished from a park full of people. In broad daylight. 2 women. 1 day. Same place. Same man. Later, when police asked, this witness remembered everything: the fake cast, the weird story, the tan Volkswagen, and one more thing. He said his name was Ted. That broke it open. A name, a type of car, a pattern. Suddenly, all those cold, disconnected cases didn't feel so disconnected anymore. The manhunt had a target. The name Ted was whispered, but the disappearances didn't stop. Locals thought it had to be someone from out of town, someone slipping in and out, because nobody could believe it was someone like him. But someone did believe. Her name was Elizabeth, Ted's girlfriend. They dated for years, shared holidays, raised her daughter together. But lately, he was disappearing for hours, coming home with cuts and excuses, clothes missing, keys she didn't recognize. She tried to ignore and explain it all away, until his sketch hit the news, the cast, the beetle, the name, Ted. Her heart dropped. She called the police. They listened and took notes. But Ted Bundy, he was too normal, too clean, and back then there were no fingerprints and no DNA, just a hunch. She called the Seattle police in 1974 and said, "I think my boyfriend might be the man you're looking for." She gave his name, his car, where he worked. Even said he had crutches and a cast once. But Washington wasn't the end. The heat was rising, so he vanished. And the disappearances followed him, just like the suspect. But the police didn't arrest him. They said, "He doesn't have a record. He's too clean, too normal." They put him on a list of suspects and moved on. Ted kept dating her, sleeping in the same bed, bringing her flowers, all while more women vanished. He was right there, smiling, breathing, sleeping beside her. October 1974, Utah. New state, but same pattern. Nancy Wilcox, 16, vanished after leaving her home. No witnesses, no signs, gone. Just weeks later, Melissa Smith, the police chief's daughter, disappeared after a night out with friends. Her body was discovered 9 days later in the mountains, a heartbreaking end to a young life full of promise. Then Laura Amy, 18, disappeared after a Halloween party. Found weeks later, same forested pattern. No one knew he'd taken his game on the road. By late 1974, the disappearances weren't just in Washington anymore. Now it was Utah, Colorado, and that's where something cracked. At a mall in Murray, Utah, a teenage girl, Carol DeRanch, was shopping alone. A man approached her, clean-cut, confident, said he was a police officer. "Someone tried to break into your car," he told her. "Come with me. We need you at the station." He even flashed a badge. She hesitated, then got in his tan Volkswagen. But as they drove, something felt off. No police radio, no station in sight, and he missed the turn to the actual police department. She asked, "Where are we going?" He didn't answer. That's when her stomach dropped. Suddenly, he pulled over near a dark school parking lot, reached for her wrist. She fought like hell, scratched, kicked, and luckily managed to throw the door open and run barefoot into traffic. A couple saw her and stopped. Carol was shaking, breathless, but alive. And she remembered everything: the car, the fake badge, his face, and the name he gave her. Officer Roseland. After Carol DeRanch gave her statement, sketch artists got to work. The composite looked very familiar to someone already on the list. Ted Bundy. Same car, same charm, same name. It all lined up, finally. November 1974. Cops pulled him over in Salt Lake City. His tan VW Beetle was a gold mine. A crowbar, rope, duct tape, handcuffs, and women's clothes. They brought him in and charged him with attempted kidnapping. But Ted? He acted calm and innocent, said it was all a big misunderstanding. He was charming, again, even behind bars. But prosecutors weren't buying it. They dug deeper, connected him to Carol, then to the disappearances at Lake Sammamish. It was stacking up. Finally, he was locked up. But then, believe it or not, he escaped. Seriously. Escaped. December 1977. He jumped out of a second-story law library window. Just vanished. Ran off while guards were distracted. 6 days later, they found him. Dirty, cold, hiding in the mountains. They brought him back in. And then, he escaped again. But this time, for real. He cut a hole in the ceiling of his jail cell, climbed through the crawl space, and walked right out dressed like a deputy. Gone. He didn't lay low. After 2 clean getaways, Ted headed south to Florida. New name, new city, same monster. January 15th, 1978. Chi Omega Sorority House, Florida State University. It was just past 2 a.m. The house was quiet, most girls asleep, doors unlocked. What happened next was fast, brutal, and almost silent. In just minutes, 2 young women were gone. 2 more barely survived. No one heard a scream. He vanished before anyone even knew he'd been there. But he wasn't done. A week later, 12-year-old Kimberly Leach disappeared on her way to school. Her body wouldn't be found for weeks. Florida was terrified. And this time, they were ready. February 15th, 1978. A stolen orange VW Beetle, a cop on routine patrol in Pensacola. He pulled the car over, asked for ID. The driver fumbled, gave a fake name, and quickly tried to run. But this time, he didn't get far. Back at the station, he resisted giving his real name until they rolled his fingerprints. Ted Bundy. Florida was ready to make sure he'd never walk free again. But prison didn't stop the attention. Behind bars, Ted Bundy became a twisted celebrity. Hundreds of letters poured in, from fans, from curious strangers, from women who were obsessed. Some said they believed he was innocent. Others didn't care. They loved his charm, his smile, his confidence in court. But one of them stood out. Carol Ann Boone. She had worked with Ted years earlier. Now, she visited him in prison, sat in the front row during his trial, defended him to anyone who asked, and then, in the middle of his trial, in front of the judge and the world, Ted looked at her and said, "Will you marry me?" She answered, "Yes." And because he was acting as his own lawyer, that bizarre courtroom proposal counted as a legal marriage under Florida law. Soon after, she was pregnant. And Ted was the father. Although conjugal visits were actually banned, but somehow, it happened. Love letters turned into a prison family, all while the families of his victims were still grieving. The clock was ticking for death row at Florida State Prison. Ted Bundy had run out of time. The trial sealed it. The evidence was overwhelming. The judge, crystal clear, said, "It's a tragedy for this court to see such a total waste of humanity. You're a bright young man. You'd have made a good lawyer. I would have loved to have you practice in front of me. But you went another way, partner." The media swarmed. Reporters fought for interviews. The world wanted answers. And Bundy, finally, started to talk. But not to show remorse. He wanted to delay the execution. He started confessing, piece by piece, names, details, cold, calculated acts. He gave just enough to keep the clock running, but not enough for full closure. He admitted to at least 30 murders. Some believe it was much more. Here's a photo of the girls whose lives he stole. They were real. They mattered. And finally, on January 24th, 1989, just before sunrise, Ted Bundy was executed. Crowds outside the prison cheered, held signs, lit fireworks. But even in death, he left behind questions, a trail of heartbreak, and the terrifying reminder that monsters don't always look like monsters. Sometimes they hold the door for you. So next time you meet that guy, watch carefully.